What moral ground do I have if I fail to call out my own, but yet calling out your own? I repeat, what moral ground do I have to call out you or your own, but blatantly refuse to call out myself or call out my own? Please take a listen to this video.
And I dare to tell you that swearing in Tinubu and Shetima is as good as swearing in the Nigerian army on 29th of May. If you swear in people that have not satisfied the requirement, you have, by so doing, ended democracy. The crisis I'm telling you now is that this, our democracy, is going to end by the way we are going. This democracy is going to end on the 29th of May, 2023. Please write it.
Those are extreme,
you know my
those
name.
Are extreme thoughts.
I am very, very happy to say it. You know my name. You introduced me.
Yeah.
Listen, don't stop.
I will, because those are extreme thoughts. You know why? Because there are allowable language to be used on television, especially as it relates to our nation and the unity of this country.
Put your question and let me answer you. Put your question. I know what I'm saying.
If there is an official...
If you breach the Constitution...
But is it not left to the court to decide otherwise?
This is already decided by the courts.
But the authority in charge of election gave a declaration.
Sherwin, if you are afraid for some things, don't ask for them.
I am not afraid. I will, as a citizen of the country, by the ethics and the guidelines of my profession, live by it.
Yes.
What is lawful? And I hope that you're a lawful citizen of the country. And so whatever the stipulation of the law guides, that if you are aggrieved about something, you go to the court to seek redress, isn't it?
This document is a product of the legal system. It has been signed into law by the President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe in this document. That is why I'm so lawful. That is why I'm so confident. And that is why however extreme it is, Sheung, I am saying it on national TV. I don't like to take risks. I'm not taking any risks. Swearing in a ticket that has not met the constitutional requirements of the Constitution, okay, is ending democracy. Quote me on it.
That's your interpretation.
That is my interpretation, and that is indeed a correct interpretation. You cannot swear people who have not met the constitutional requirement. You can't do that.
The professor responded to the statement made by the Labour Party presidential candidate, Baba Datti Ahmed, which you can read on the screen, displayed on the screen. He went further, describing the Obi Datti movement as what? As fascist, and all hell break loose. Now, I started my statement. What moral ground do I have to call out someone or their own and yet fail to call out myself or my own? As a result of the statement, there was uproar in the social media calling for the professor, like they said to Jesus Christ, crucify him. For what? The professor language is condemnable without a shadow of doubt. But the message the professor was passing across was what was missed completely. And thus begs the question, what sort of leaders do we want to produce? We want a leader that we can hold accountable. We want a leader that will represent the people. The office of the president and the vice president are the highest office in the country. If we are going to achieve this change that we are looking for, that we want, then we want a leader. We need to produce a leader that we can hold accountable. The professor is not wrong in his statement. He was only calling out that the statement where the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party made is completely out of point. Now, you can see the interviewer showing how to caution the vice president, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, that is an extreme thought. But sadly, the Datti movement do not see it that way. Sometimes I sit down and I ask myself, what happened to our intellectual development? This, by meaning, means our ability to think and reason. Have we lost it completely? Particularly those in diaspora? If we're going to achieve this change, then we have to apply what I call the balanced truth. If we fail to apply the balanced truth, then we're not going to achieve this change. We will not be able to bring people out of what? Out of poverty in Nigeria. We will continue to produce a leader that what, according to the professor, a dictatorship leaders. We're not going to. Thank you for joining. Hope. I appreciate your coming on this platform. And if you, I don't know if you dare to hear my opening statement. In that, I asked the question: what moral ground do I have to call you out? Let me use you as the example, and yet fail to call myself out. The topic that we're discussing is the statement made by the Labour Party presidential candidate, where he said, as a result of the 2023 general election, if Shetima and Bola Ahmed Tinubu are sworn in on the 29th of May 2023, that will end democracy in Nigeria. The question before you and before all is that true? Do you agree with such statements coming from a vice president candidate, presidential candidate? Because our hope is to have a leader that we can hold accountable. I yield the floor to you. Thank you. Oh, my sincere apology for that. I will continue. So, as I stated earlier, what sort of leaders do we want to produce? Now, Chimamanda went further, stating that we operate, or we have an holo democracy. That's a fair argument, which I will give to her and to those who agree with her. Thus begs another question. What are we doing, or what is she doing to fix this holo democracy that we have, that she claimed that we are operating? Like I said, it's a fair argument, which I already gave to her. It is easier for us to focus on the problem and not profile a solution. If the professor was called out for the language he used, are we applauding the Labour Party presidential candidate for such comment, which the professor denounced? We missed the part that the professor was trying to portray or to bring to our attention that if we're going to build a democracy, a sustainable and sustain it, then we have to apply balanced truth. We have to call out and do check and balance on our leaders. Because at the end of the day, they hold the highest post in the country. The professor said, I denounce the menacing utterances of a vice presidential aspirant as unbecoming. It was a gladiatorial challenge directed at the judiciary and by implication, the rest of the democratic polity, which is true. It's not in the position to make such statements or demand. The matter is in the court of law to be decided. If we want a change even in the judiciary, we still need to allow them to do their job. Imagine if it's allowed, or this statement, according to Sheon, the statement he made, extreme thoughts he made, allowed to stay. What will happen when he finally sits in that office of the vice president? And yet, we are claiming, we say we want a change. What sort of change are we looking for? The sad part is, like I said, those who took this thing are those in the diaspora, calling for the head of the professor, crucify him. For what? For what crime has he committed? The man spoke the truth. Yes, his language, his choice of language is condemnable, because when we put Nigeria in the context of that language does not befit the country. Chimamandi highlighted countries that you can use such language on, not Nigeria. So that language itself is what is condemnable. However, the message that the professor is passing across was disregarded by her. The matter is in court. The presidential candidate went further, stating that the court have decided, referring to what? To the Constitution, for crying out loud. The Constitution is there to be interpreted. And that is what is happening in the court of law. Can he provide evidence that the matter has been decided on? Let me further read what the professor said, that I just find so amazed and perplexed. The professor stated, after he made this other statement, he said to Peter Obi, I said, it was depressing to watch his lieutenant, a crucially positioned voice of movement that has broken the mold. Here the professor is highlighting the positivity of what Peter Obi has brought on the table. Yet, people disregard all this, focusing on sentiment. In my last broadcast, one of the Obi Datti supporters made a claim that if Soyinka was his father and he made such a comment, he will insult his father. It's on record. One other person also caused a generation, past, present, and future, because of Soyinka. Really? what happened to our intellectual development, the ability to be able to reason and think? How do we achieve a government that will be for the people, by the people, and of the people, if we can't balance the truth? If we fail to apply the same rule on everyone? Yes, Professor Shoyinka is what? Is a statesman, a public figure. But he's not going to sit in that position of a vice president. He's not going to decide on the fate of people, of citizens who are already in poverty, that we want to bring out of poverty. It amazes me. It puzzles me. And I hope everyone will have a rethink. In particular, the so-claimed obedient movement. I wish, the question is, can they apply the same rule? Someone is trying to join, Ayo. You have to allow, you have to give permission to your audio and your video before you can be connected. That's why you'll not be able to connect. So you have to give permission to your the app of your audio and your video. Then you can go out and coming back again, give permission, allow your audio and audience before you be able to come in. So as I was saying, let's apply the same rule. If we don't apply the same rule, then we are only wasting our time. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the judgment did not favor the Labour Party. Does that mean the democracy, that's the end of democracy, or is dead in Nigeria? If that's the case, then both Peter Obi and every other Labour Party, they are scammers, they're scammers. Those who are on social media with platform, they're all scammers. If they hold on to this belief, this extreme thought of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. We've had 8 years of Buhari regime. Did anyone experience democracy in the true sense of democracy? Yet, we still have that hope. Nigerians have that hope to come out and vote en masse. Yes, millions are hoping that the judgment will favor the Labour Party. But it's hope. However, if it does not favor the Labour Party, there's still another 4 years, and another 4 years, and another 4 years. That is not the end of democracy. And it's disappointing. I cast my vote. So I have every moral ground to weigh on this matter and to call out my preferred leader, that statement is inappropriate, beyond extreme, and where possible, he should do the right thing and take to the same podium and retract that statement. It does not befit, according to what the professor said, one who is going to occupy the office of the vice president. We all can make mistakes with words, that's for sure. But the man did not make mistakes with words. Neither did the professor make mistakes with words by calling Diobi Datti fascisms. No. Hence, I stand in the position to say that the language he used is condemnable. But the message he was trying to pass across is applaudable. Let's call evil evil. Like the scripture says, woe unto him that call evil good and good, evil. That say darkness is light and light is darkness. Can we all call evil evil? Can we call on the vice presidential candidate to retract this statement? It is completely wrong. The section of the Constitution is section 133, which is being argued in court. Let the judges do their job. If we are going to achieve this change, we cannot take such position. It's impossible. It ain't possible. There are millions of Nigerian citizens in added poverty. These are our focus. This should be our focus. And bringing in the right leader who is going to steer the ship and help us in this journey that we're about to embark. Not leaders that made such statement. That's a threat. It's a form of intimidation. Everyone is most Nigerians are aggrieved as a result of the outcome of the presidential election, without a shadow of doubt. Peter Obi is a very careful person. He carefully chose his words. Many have condemned him. Oh, he's afraid. He can't talk this and that. For crying out loud. To whom much is given, much is expected. The man has to behave and carry himself presidential. I think his lieutenant should do likewise. And like I said, I hope to God that he takes on the same podium and retracts this statement. But if he fails to, he has already given us a tip of what it will be like when he finally sits on that seat of the vice president. That is what he has shown you. That is what he has shown us. I'll play the video for you once again.
And I dare to tell you that swearing in Tinubu and Shettima is as good as swearing in the Nigerian army on 29th of May. If you swear in people that have not satisfied the requirement, you have, by so doing, ended democracy. The crisis I'm telling you now is that our democracy is going to end by the way we are going. This democracy is going to end on the 29th of May, 2023. Please write it.
Those are extreme, extreme thoughts.
I am very, very happy to say it. My name. You introduced me.
Yeah.
Listen, don't stop it.
I will, because those are extreme thoughts. You know why? Because there are allowable language to be used on television, especially as it relates to our nation and the unity of this country.
Put your question and let me answer you. Put your question. I know what I'm saying.
If there is an official...
If you breach the Constitution...
Is it not left to the court to decide otherwise?
This is already decided by the courts.
But the authority in charge of the election gave a declaration.
If you are afraid for some things, don't ask for them.
I am not afraid. I will, as a citizen of the country, by the ethics and the guidelines of my profession, live by it.
Yes.
What is lawful? And I hope that you're a lawful citizen of the country.
Very, very
and so whatever the stipulation of the law guides, if you are aggrieved about something, you go to the court to seek redress, isn't it?
This document is a product of the legal system. It has been signed into law by the President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe in this document. That is why I'm so lawful. That is why I'm so confident. And that is why however extreme it is, Sheung, I am saying it on national TV. I don't like to take risks. I'm not taking any risks. Swearing in a ticket that has not met the constitutional requirements of the Constitution, is...
However extreme his thought or his position or his statement is. He doesn't care. Now, most of us are familiar with the word extreme. Extreme is silent people, certain individuals. Is that what he's telling us? Now, despite the interviewer trying to correct him, he said it's on national TV. Everyone should take a pen and paper and write it down. Come on, guys. Datti movement. Don't let yourself down. If you want a government that you can hold accountable, then you need to do the right thing. You cannot. You see, I started by saying, what moral ground do I have to call out another person and fail to call out my own? What moral ground? I don't have any moral ground. In the heat of the moment, in a conversation with someone, actually told me I am on the side of the oppressors. Really? Just because I do not align or agree with the position Datti movement have taken? To be honest, it's disgraceful, pathetic for us to hold such a position. And not until he retracted that statement. His reputation, and I'm being honest with you, his reputation is in the balance. And this also will affect the reputation of the presidential candidate of Peter Obi. When people applaud such things, allow it to see the light of the day, calling out somebody else but not calling out the other person, applying sentiment. I'm going to read what Dr. Chuba Okadibo once said that is attributed to the known Okadibo. I'll look for it and I'm going to read it out. He said, and I read, quote and unquote, if you are emotionally attached to your tribe, religion, or politically leaning to the point that truth and justice become secondary considerations, your education is useless. Your exposure is useless. If you cannot reason beyond petty sentiment, you are a liability to mankind. That quote is attributed to late Dr. Chuba Okadibo, and it's completely right. And the professor also referred to that in his interview that he gave. He said, and I read, a crucially positioned voice of a movement has broken the mold, threatening the totality of what social existence. Whatever our ideology leaning, is Donald Trump the ideal template of burgeoning democracy in the nation? Definitely not. How do we achieve this? If we'll continue this way. If you want to join the chat to speak, the link is on the section. You can click on it and join and weigh in into this matter, particularly those who are on the Datti movement. I voted for Obi, so nobody can come and criticize me or condemn me. You can't say crucify me. That ain't gonna happen. I voted for him. And so I expect, like I said, to whom much is given, much is expected. call the vice presidential candidate and ask him to retract this statement. He has to. You saw the video. He's not apologetic. The matter is before the court. Section 133 is before the court. Therefore, Nigerians in diaspora particularly. Machiavelli, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. It's a pleasure to meet you again. And
yes,
I'm so happy to be on your show today.
Right. I'm going to yield the floor to you. Go ahead. Fire on.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be on your live show today, and it's been a journey. I've met you in several platforms where you've expressed what your desire for the country called Nigeria and how you want the status quo to change from consumption to production, just like what Peter Obi has said. And ever since I started following this political thing in Nigeria, and I told them at that time that when injustice becomes a law, resistance becomes duty. Because you cannot push people to the wall and expect them to remain like that. Nigeria can't remain like that. The status quo will change. And the person of Obi came out explaining what a political system should be. And that is why they are afraid of him. This is just the reason. There's no two ways about it. This is the only guy that was speaking about policies. If you look at the other side, what were they talking about? They were looking at everything that has to do with it is my turn. Are we operating a monarchy system of government? That's another question. Why would you say it's your turn in a democratic dispensation? Because if you look at it, democracy you give to us is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So it means that the will of every institution of that country should be determined by the citizens. It is not your turn.
Machiavelli, hold that thought.
Yeah.
Let me hold the thoughts 1 second. I'll give the floor back to you. When Tinubu made that comment, you agree with me that everybody in the nation, outside the nation, condemned that comment. You agree with me on that?
Yes.
Good. Now, the focus right now, the purpose of this discussion is the statement made by Professor Wale Soyinka in respect to the comment made by the Labour Party presidential candidate, Baba Datti Ahmed. Now, I took the position in that the language the professor used is highly condemnable. Chinamada highlighted the countries that such language befits. However, the statement made by the vice presidential candidate, Datti Baba Ahmed, are you claiming, I can play, do you want me to play the video for you?
No, you can play it. Let's play it for the audience to know so that it doesn't look as if we're talking, we just knew it and we're just saying it because we want them to know. I want everybody to hear it.
Okay, I'm going to play the video again.
And I dare to tell you that swearing in Tinubu and Shetima is as good as swearing in the Nigerian army on 29th of May. If you swear in people that have not satisfied the requirement, you have by so doing ended democracy. The crisis I'm telling you now is that our democracy is going to end by the way we are going. This democracy is going to end on the 29th of May 2023. Please write it.
Those are extreme,
you know my
those
name.
are extreme thoughts.
I am very, very happy to say it.
No,
you know my name. You introduced me.
Yeah.
Listen, don't stop.
No. I will, because those are extreme thoughts. You know why? Because there are allowable language to be used on television, especially as it relates to our nation and the unity of this country.
Put your question and let me answer you. Put your question. I know what I'm saying.
If there is an official,
if you breach the constitution,
but is it not left to the court to decide otherwise?
This is already decided by the courts.
But the authority in charge of the election gave a declaration.
If you are afraid for some things, don't ask for them.
I am not afraid. I will, as a citizen of the country, by the ethics and the guidelines of my profession, live by it.
Yes.
What is lawful? And I hope that you're a lawful citizen of the country.
And
so whatever the stipulation of the law guides, if you are aggrieved about something, you go to the court to seek redress, isn't it?
This document is a product of the legal system. It has been signed into law by the President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe in this document. That is why I'm so lawful. That is why I'm so confident. And that is why however extreme it is, Sheung, I am saying it on national TV. I don't like to take risks. I'm not taking any risks. Swearing in a ticket that has not met the constitutional requirements of the Constitution, okay, is ending democracy. Quote me on it.
That's your interpretation.
That is my interpretation, and that is indeed.
All right, Machiavelli.
Yes.
Before you...
Go on. You were talking. I can't hear you again. Yeah.
I welcome you fully on the platform. Go ahead, Machiavelli.
From what he said, I don't see anything inflammatory, because he was quoting what the law is saying. He was actually referring to the law, that before you can become a president-elect, you must have 25% of the vote, and including the FCT. And that has been, because people will just say it's not binding by the law, but that's just the law. That's what he has quoted. Because if you don't meet it and you are being inaugurated, it just means that you are actually violating it. That's what he just said there. So the likes of people like Wole Soyinka coming to interpret the law.
I am going to stop you there, and that is not what he said.
Yeah.
He said that will be the end of democracy.
Yes, of course. Yes, I agree with that, because at the end of the day, we are not following the law, because in democracy, law is the supreme. This is what I always tell them. In terms of democracy is binded by law, and everything has to comply with democracy. And that is why everything we are saying now, I am saying in the political space, it's like the citizens are now the people interpreting the laws to those who has been in the aim of affairs of the country. So it is absolutely kind of questionable, because these things is already there, and you know fully well. And you're trying to corner people and say, no, it's not done like this, it's not done like that. No. And this is why
the section of the law is section 134, which is subject to interpretation. So here is it. You commit a crime, for example.
Yeah. Yes.
And the police arrest you. And without trial, just throw you into jail because the law says you've committed a crime.
Yes.
Without giving you that opportunity to defend yourself. Are you so saying that is right?
No, without fair trial. Is that what you mean? And
without just fair trial, without giving fair trial.
That is a violation of the rule of law.
That is a violation of the rule of law. And
yes, because a person is supposed to be given a fair trial, because that has stipulated in the Constitution. He must be given a fair trial.
Good. So the Constitution is section 134 of the Constitution that highlighted who should be what? Should be declared a winner.
Yes, how it should be declared.
Argument on that as to So this matter is before the court.
Yes.
Let's
Sorry,
argue.
Mister. Do you know
Go ahead.
the reason why they already know it? Because the matter is already in court, like I'm not a lawyer, I will not dip into it because they already know. Because the reason why we're clarifying the Nigerian is because we're trying to refer them to the constitution because it's what guides the country. That is just it. Because the matter is already in the court, I might not dive into it so that it looks as if something, but they already know. They know this thing is not right. They know by themselves. I'm telling you, they know it's not.
Are you aware that Peter Obi was impeached twice when he was governor of Anambra State?
Very correct.
And he went to court to seek the interpretation of the Constitution?
Very correct.
And he's doing the same right now?
That's why.
No, Mr. Machiavelli.
Yeah,
Just answer my question. He's doing the same right now.
Yes.
How many years did it take him for the Supreme Court to decide on his case in Anambra State?
I cannot just get the exact, but I know it was a bit of a long time.
It was a bit of a long time, and he was reinstated back. Would that be correct?
He was reinstated back. Yes.
So it's applying the same rule in this matter by going to the court, challenging the process. So
yes.
Why can't we allow the court, the same court he went when he was governor of Anambra State, is back at the same court to interpret the Constitution? And you are saying that is wrong?
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. That is what I've said. The matter is already in court. I know fully well that this person is absolutely in line with what Constitution said, because this guy is not. He's very intelligent, because the way he did it in Anambra, this is what Nigeria wants. I'm honestly telling you. This is why I said if the matter is already, because he said somebody who is quiet, who doesn't speak, they have an arsenal of what evidence they are going to present. And what you have said so far, this is what he's going to do again. And I pray God.
But the vice presidential candidate,
yes,
to his comment, his statement, said the matter has already been decided.
Yes, that it is already been decided. Yeah, do you know this thing is that is what he want to tell Nigerians, that they already decide, because they know what is happening. But they
No. Don't let us spin it. We can play the video again. That is not what it was. That is not what it was alluding to. Okay. But before I play the video again to the end, I will let me allow Foley to weigh in. Foley.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Electricity. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. Should I say something about this whole matter?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think Nigerians, I can easily put it to every one of us here. We always side anything that belongs to us, even if if the person we are supporting is actually wrong. We still try to make it look like that person is right. So I think that's the problem we're having here. Let's call it spade a spade. Okay. I'm not in support of Tinubu, but everybody knows. And I'm not even in support of any politician in Nigeria. To me, I'm this kind of person that believe in old order to go, and let's have a fresh wine together. But at the same time, as much as we're still trying to get ourselves together to make sure we have a country that we can all be proud of, anytime we see evil, let's condemn evil. Don't let's play around it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to consume every one of us if care is not taken. So what we are saying here today is like there is no ignorance of law that is because I don't know. That is why I say this. I think that Bada Obi's Datti will have go and check the law very well, and what the law is actually saying about the 25% in Nigeria in election, before he came out and be telling us that someone did not meet up with Abuja. How can Abuja alone determine the president of a country? Are you telling me Abuja will be, you want to make an Abuja to be a center of everybody have to focus on Abuja alone. No, because Abuja alone cannot be. Abuja has to be main. It has to be part of the 25. That's what the law said. So Datti Baba don't even know what the law is all about when he's making those utterances about the election. To me, I don't see election in Nigeria. They always select themselves. But that does not mean that do not mean that we should not actually talk the truth wherever we say any truth. Okay, they miss the opportunity they have. I'm telling you, Obi make all his supporters to lose the opportunity they have. The opportunity they have is this: before the election, they have the chance to enter the streets, to begin to protest, before the INEC even declare the election, declare Tinubu winner. They have all these things too, because the whole world are actually watching us there. The whole world we even have a say. We have something to back on then. That okay, you promise us you are going to do transmit the election from our
Fully,
polling unit, and you're not
fully.
doing it.
Sorry, let me
Okay,
interject you there. Fully, let me
okay,
interject. The
okay.
question here is, according to the statement of Baba Datti Ahmed, the Labour Party presidential candidate, if Obi and Tinubu and Shetima is sworn in on the 25th, on the 29th of May, that is the end of democracy in Nigeria. Is that true?
That's why I said the man don't even know what he's saying. He don't even know what he's saying. I've just put it that way.
I'll come back to you again, Foley. I have a
Okay,
legal mind and a platform here
all right.
who can shed more light to us in respect to Section 133 of the Constitution. 34, I beg your pardon, and the statement. I started this broadcast by saying, what moral ground do I have to call out other people and yet fail to call out my own? And that is in respect to the comment that the language that Professor Shoyinka made in respect to the Obi Datti, which I condemn. But I did state that on the flip side, the response, the reaction by the Obi Datti movement has vindicated the professor and proven him what to be right, because the reaction does not worth it at all. We miss the message completely that the professor was trying to make. The professor also went further, saying he told Tinubu in a private meeting or private one-to-one that leave this thing. You've gone past the age of this. Leave it for the young one. He also said that of Atiku. Everybody do not care about that. I yield the floor to you, Mr. Ogbeni Kwale. Thank you.
Thank you, Electricity, and good evening, all other panelists. For me, I would like to start with the interpretation of the Constitution and the misconception about the interpretation. Section 134 has been in the Constitution since 1999, right? And issues have been raised about it one or two times, and the court has made pronouncement on that, right? Now, what does it really say? It simply says that it chronicles what should be, or highlight, or list what should be the qualification of whoever wants to govern Nigeria at the level of presidency. And it simply says, you have 36 states in Nigeria and you have Federal Capital Territory. You're going to conduct election in all this space, 37 now, and say, before you can rule Nigeria or lead Nigeria, you must have, apart from other qualification, 35 years of age and all those things, you must have 25%, right, of 36 states and FCT. Mark my word again. You must have 25% of 36 states and FCT. Now, see the different interpretation people give it. Some said, then you first put the 36 states and FCT in a bracket. Then you must have 25% of those 37 sub-regions in a bracket. Some said, no, it must be 25% of the 36 states in a bracket, and then that 25% will now apply also to FCT, meaning that the hand you find there in the first interpretation, it should be interpreted to be a conjunction, meaning 36 and FCT, put them in a bracket, then 25% of all the 37. Or the second interpretation wants to interpret that hand as a disjunction, to mean more like you must have this first, then also have this. So it's not as if you must have Holland. But when you look at it, you see, interpretation of the Constitution, you don't isolate just one provision and just interpret it. You must interpret the Constitution holistically, right? That's my first issue I have with the second interpretation. I go with the first interpretation that says, put everything in a bracket, 36 states and FCT, then have 25% of whichever within that bracket. Okay, that's what I go with. And why did I go with it? The first literal interpretation of and is conjunction. Except when there is that, if you interpret and is leading to an absurdity, and I'll give an instance if time still permits me, or is leading to absurdity or a ridiculous end that you know, if you interpret this and here to mean conjunction, then it won't bring out the aim of whoever drafted this law. That is when you start fishing out for other interpretation of the hand. But the moment you put and you say, what is the literal meaning of and? Simple English is conjunction. And you say, okay, put your conjunction there and it leads you to a simple interpretation. You don't start fishing out the way Datti and others start fishing out different interpretation, Olisa Bakoba and others. No. That's a simple thing they taught us in constitutional law. Interpretation, literal interpretation first, ordinary meaning of the word. Okay, and now, why do I say this? There's another provision in that same constitution that says FCT is like any other state in Nigeria. And the courts, even up to Supreme Court, have said it on several cases. FCT is like any other state in Nigeria. And that is why, most times, if you go to Land Use Act, for instance, as at the time Obasanjo promulgated that Land Use Act as Land Use Decree, right? FCT was not considered. There was a case that went to court later and said, if FCT was not considered, then the land in FCT, Land Use Act, should not be applicable to it. And the court said no. Yes, FCT was not considered, but the moment we have had FCT now in 1991, and we say we have moved to Abuja, therefore, FCT is like any other state. So whenever you find states in the Land Use Act, then you can replace with it FCT and then apply it in Abuja. So why do you really want to change because there's an election? Then the second reason I always give is this. You see, equality is equity. You don't deprive me because I'm from Ekiti and I reside in Ekiti, for instance, in my state. You are now saying the vote in FCT carries more weight than my vote in Ekiti. Well, where do you want that to lead to? What kind of interpretation is that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Agwe. Thank you for that statement you just made. Okay, it brings us to the highlight of this discussion. The comment made by Datti Baba Ahmed. I'm going to play the video again for Foley, for Machiavelli again to the end. I'm not going to stop it halfway, so that we all can hear what the vice presidential candidate actually said, to which I completely condemn. Everybody is entitled to hold their position, which I completely condemn. I voted for Peter Obi, which means I voted for him as well too. So I'm not going to turn a blind eye to truth, and I'm not going to call evil good just because I want my principal person to it. And that is what the Professor Wole Soyinka was trying to highlight. Even when he highlighted the positivity of what the Obi Datti movement has created, have brought into the system, some still don't see right. And my question is, can we achieve a government of the people if we don't call evil just because it's my own person? I play the video again.
And I dare to tell you that swearing in Tinubu and Shetima is as good as swearing in the Nigerian army on 29th of May. If you swear in people that have not satisfied the requirement, you have by so doing ended democracy. The crisis I'm telling you now is that this our democracy is going to end by the way we are going. This democracy is going to end on the 29th of May 2023. Please write it.
Those are extreme,
you know my
those
name.
are extreme thoughts.
I am very, very happy to say it.
No,
you know my name.
You
introduced me.
Yeah.
Listen, don't stop.
I will, because those are extreme thoughts. You know why? Because there are allowable language to be used on television, especially as it relates to our nation and the unity of this country.
Put your question and let me answer you. Put your question. I know what I'm saying.
If there is an official...
If you breach the Constitution...
Is it not left to the court to decide otherwise?
This is already decided by the courts.
But the authority in charge of election gave a declaration.
If you are afraid for some things, don't ask for them.
I am not afraid. I will, as a citizen of the country, by the ethics and the guidelines of my profession, live by it.
Yes.
What is lawful? And I hope that you're a lawful citizen of the country.
Very, very
and so whatever the stipulation of the law guides, if you are aggrieved about something, you go to the court to seek redress, isn't it?
This document is a product of the legal system. It has been signed into law by the President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe in this document. That is why I'm so lawful. That is why I'm so confident. And that is why however extreme it is, Sheung, I am saying it on national TV. I don't like to take risks. I'm not taking any risks. Swearing in a ticket that has not met the constitutional requirements of the Constitution, okay, is ending democracy. Quote me on it.
That's your interpretation.
That is my interpretation, and that is indeed a correct interpretation. You cannot swear people who have not met the constitutional requirement. You can't do that.
All right. Mr. Ogbeni, I'll come to you. Folibi, I've played the video to the end. Machiavelli, in respect to the issue of evidence, he said the court has already decided on it. Meanwhile, the matter is still in the courts. Did you hear that, Machiavelli?
Yeah, I know. Now I get where you are coming from. Okay. Now I actually get where you're coming from.
All right, I'll come back to you.
Okay,
I'll come back to you. Folibi is joining us from Nigeria. I'd like to give preference to those joining us from Nigeria because of the situation there. So, Folibi, the floor is yours, please.
Yeah. All right. Like I was saying the other time, I think this is where we should actually know that these are the people that were actually thinking that will come and rule our country, and we have that 100% hope in them, and they cannot even try and know exactly what the law is all about before they came out and be saying what they are saying. So this should tell us something about all these people we are actually celebrating as a visionary guys. Me, I don't see them as if they are vibrant the way people are seeing them. So if Peter Obi, Vice President, cannot even interpret that simple law that everybody should know what's supposed to be like, and he's misquoting it, and he's coming to national television to be telling us what is not even available in the law. So I think it's very disheartening. Anyway, it's painful that we're actually putting people like this on board to be to come and lead a country like Nigeria, where people of intellectuals were. I don't know. I'm very short of words. So I don't know.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Folibi.
Right.
Mr. Ogbeni, it's you. You've listened to the video? I believe you've heard it. You've listened, but we're on live show. So can you weigh in on that? On what on the video, please?
I've listened to that video severally. I'm writing a short article on that thing, and then vis-a-vis Professor Wole Soyinka's reaction, and I'm trying to look at can I really pick anything facts? Are there few shots of fascism, particularly as used in the 20th century?
Nice.
Or are people misinterpreting what Wole Soyinka is saying? And I'll quickly
Yeah,
tell you my
yeah.
findings. My findings simply says Wole Soyinka was right. And largely right. Don't let me say completely, largely right. People thought Benito Mussolini was the only fascist. And that's why I always say we don't need to study only history, but political history matters a lot. He was not the only one. And you see, okay, before I go there now, three major things the man said. He said, if you swear in the president-elect and his team, that's the vice president-elect, that is as good as swearing in Nigerian army. I don't know why people are not listening to that. And people don't, I don't know why some people, don't let me say every people, because there are so many people that have condemned such utterances. So I don't know why people cannot really understand what that man is saying, that you swearing is as good as swearing in Nigerian army. That has a lot of implication, right? Coming from a figure like him, particularly with the numbers of supporters they have, okay, as a third force. We call them third force, but they believe they are not third force, they are the first force in Nigeria. Secondly, you say if you're swearing is going to be at the end of democracy, and you were so affirmative that you were even telling the man anchoring the program that you should write it down, should write that day down, and that and that you were so confident that you say you even know what you are saying, right? So when I look at everything together, I look at who is this man. Yes, I like people who always say, oh, don't look at person's personalities. But for me, let me tell you, if a conductor, if I'm engaging someone on an issue, if the person, I look at the person's level of exposure, I look at level of education, and I look at your experience in life. If I discover that you may not, if I gauge your qualification and I feel you may not really understand the issue, I excuse you. I won't argue with you. I just feel like, oh, that's his level of exposure. But I'll be so surprised if I look at your level of exposure and experience and things coming out from your mouth is not commensurable. That's what always pains me about Nigeria. So who is this man? First and foremost, he has told us on national TV severally that he doesn't have faith in Nigerian courts. He doesn't believe Obi is going to get anything out of him. I don't know if you've listened to all those interviews. He has said it severally. He doesn't have faith in Nigerian court. He doesn't believe Obi is going to get justice from court. He said since they've lost, Obi has won before, but it's not sure if the court of today is that kind of court where Obi has won. It means you don't believe in democracy. Well, you don't believe in the court system. And the question I keep asking myself is, if you want to be vice president of Nigeria and you don't believe in court system and you have lost, and you are before the same court and you are still saying you don't believe in that court, that's a call for absolutism. It means in you are a fascist. So I don't understand why people go back to the meaning of fascism.
Mr. Ogbeni, please be careful, because I don't want them to call for your. Let's
define what fascism means.
What happened to Wole Soyinka? Please, I'm appealing to you. Please, don't let us use that word on anyone, please.
Okay, let's say authoritarianism. Do you want to use that?
Use another word. Okay, fine.
Okay, extremist or a leftist. That's all. Those are synonyms of the word you don't want me to use there. It means that you only believe yourself. You don't hear others. That's what it means. It's an ideology. And the ideology is just, do you know the ideology? When it started, they were using it for a good use. It wasn't a negative thing. It's just like this court system that, not court, the brotherhood that Wole Soyinka started in the University of Ibadan, former Premier University. It was for a good cause. It was to fight colonialism and neo-colonialism shortly after independence. And they got results. But today, what are they using it for? Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's authoritarianism. It means that you don't hear anyone. You don't want to know. You are right in any way you want. Okay. Look at him. He's interpreting the Constitution and he said the Constitution has interpreted itself. What kind of ignorance is that? How can a document, the same document that I've met several Nigerians that they said we should destroy this constitution, that nonsense constitution is that same constitution that is so self-explanatory. So if our laws are self-explanatory, why do we have law courts? then we don't need any law court to interpret the law now, since it's very self-explanatory. And I've just said it on this platform today. That issue is not today. That Section 134 thing. It's not, and that's why I like using American Constitution, for instance. What do they do in America? They keep amending. I think we are on number 27th Amendment now in America, right? 27th Amendment, right? If I'm right. They keep amending. First Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. They've almost turned the entire Constitution down because they keep adding to it, nullifying this, amending this, amending this. If our legislators are really serious, this Section 34 should have gone by now. Or you find a way to remove that whole and just put the state and all everything in a bracket and say 25% of all regional government in Nigeria. Simple. Or you just say 25% of so many local governments in Nigeria. Instead of using state government, you can use local government, go to the local level so that everybody will know how many local government do you have in Abuja? 3. And it is that same Abuja. Okay, you have Kuje, Buhari, Amak, and think and another one, maybe 4 or 5 in Abuja. So you want that to override my 16 local government in Ekiti State, right? So whoever votes in that space, let me tell you what will be happening. If I don't see any court upholding this, but if any court opposes this, let me tell you what will start happening. Shortly before election, you will be seeing exodus of people away from their states. Candidates will be sponsoring people to evade Abuja. They will be moving their polling, to Abuja to occupy that space so that they can have 25%. Is that what we want in Nigeria when we don't use electoral college? I mean, I don't know. I think if Datti is not full of himself, I think by now that man should have come out to apologize to Nigerians. And I don't blame him. I blame his supporters that are still finding a way to manage him. Tell the truth, like what you are doing here, and let him come out and apologize. He said they are a new brand of leader. They are bringing new style of leadership into governance. So what's so special in you coming out and say, well, I'm sorry? After all, Barack Obama, with all his accolade and everything, came out and said he's sorry on several occasions. So also, I don't know. For me.
All right. Thank you. Stay there. Don't go, please. I especially bring you here for this purpose. Machiavelli, you watched the video. You said you understand where I'm coming from. So your position still remain the same, or you've changed your position? You are muted, Machiavelli. Are you there? Okay. Machiavelli is not there at the moment. Folibi, I know I said I'll come to you. We all make mistakes, okay? And we need to give a leeway, okay? Like what Ogbeni College said and what I stated earlier. We hope he will take to the same podium and retract that statement, because that statement alone is, the video, I don't know where it's coming from.
Sorry to cut. I just came back. My internet was fluctuating. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, I can see you. Okay, back to you again. That you've listened to the video. You said, I quote, you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Now, are you maintaining the same position, or you are changing position?
No, I think I get what you're saying, because democracy never dies. I think that's a very wrong statement from me, because now I actually went back to actually look at word to word, because at the first time when I first listened to it, I thought it was, you can say he's entitled to his opinion, but I still say that statement was not right. It was not put in place in a very well, he's somebody who is also a lawyer. He should know that things should not be put like that. It should not be placed like that. I think I understand that was not really democratic for me.
Okay, I am going to stop you here. I'm going to doff my cap for you. I'm stopping you deliberately for changing your position, not because of anything that you saw the truth. It doesn't change the fact that Obi is one's favorite person. But do you think, in your opinion, that the others will be Datti movement will listen to this video again and actually reach out to Datti Baba Ahmed or Baba Datti Ahmed, the Labour Party presidential candidate, for him to retract this statement?
The answer is true. Because for us, as a concerned citizen, we should go back and retract his statement. Because one, the case is already in court. And when he used the word, I just remember that when he used that word, it has been decided. So which means when was it decided? When the case is already in court. Where did you get the information from? So I just actually went there and said, oh, yes, this is the point. You are not the person, it's still in the court, and we need to wait for the court to decide. Because he's a lawyer, he should know that under the law, we need to understand that the independence of the judiciary must be respected. So he should respect that. So where he got the fact that it has already been decided, where did that come from? So that was why I said, oh, okay, I get where you're coming from now. That is not supposed to be. So for me, I will urge every individual concerned citizen to please let us reach out to this guy and let him know that those statements were very wrong.
Thank you, Machiavelli. Actually, it's like I should just bring this show to an end, to be honest, because we've achieved what we need to achieve. But, however, we still need to reach out. There's a question on the flashing. There's a question on there which I will want
please, can I
Nicole to answer it, please. Thank you.
Electricity. Before then, please, can I comment on what Machiavelli said?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good. I respect people that I won't say concede to superior opinion, but people that review their opinion. I do that too. I try to review my opinion and engage it with maybe what people say. This is, I think, what Datti lacked, and I think he needs it. Now, yeah, so I respect him. That's what I'm saying. But first and foremost, I'm not sure he's a lawyer. I don't know he's a lawyer. I don't know anything about his profile that shows that he's a lawyer. And that's why I try to give him benefit of doubt too, because if I get his profile and I realize that he's a lawyer, I will like to be hard on him more than this. But I don't think I know he studied BSc in economics in University of Maiduguri, and after that also went to the same University of Maiduguri to do MS in economics. I'm not sure what he did his PhD on, but I know he did his PhD then. I want to get same economy, same field, because it will be difficult to cross from economics master to law. And somewhere, I think University of Westminster or somewhere in UK, yeah. And then after that, he went, okay, before going into politics, he worked in Nigerian security printing and meeting for a while, then went into politics. Then after that, become what he called himself as educationalist and have universities. That's the summary of what I know about him. So to say he's a lawyer, I don't know. I know his supporters will know more, so maybe Machiavelli know more to show that he's a lawyer. But I know he has a university that is running law faculty. But now, for him to say it has been decided, it may not be completely wrong. That's another area I want to point out here. We have to be very sincere. It may not be completely wrong. Now, if you observe that space, the Arise TV brought this man that has been abandoned for a very long year. What do you call him? Andoka, the Attorney General during Yaradua time. The one that said Yaradua can rule anywhere in the world, and they were. The man was suspended as a senior advocate back then, I remember, but I think they've returned his rank. They brought him on several occasions. I think they still brought him till 2 days ago or so. And he was the first one to say this decision has been made on this thing before. And I think he cited maybe Buhari or Obasanjo or something like that, one of these cases, that the Supreme Court made a decision in favor of the obedience own interpretation. So I want to believe that is what Datti is talking about around there. Okay. So Andoka said, yes, there's a decision where the Supreme Court said, yes, you must have 25% of FCT for you to win presidency. But I've not read that decision, so don't let me, but I know they've mentioned that decision now severally. And I think Shannon's TV also, no, it was the same arrived that now brought another man, Robert Clarkson, that fair complexion, hood, Edmond Hedalison, who said there was another decision again that reversed that position. And I think they pressed on to ask him, and he didn't mention the parties in that decision and said, whoever wants to brief him should brief him for money. It's not something he'll just be throwing out, something like that. I can't remember. So Andoka said it, that decision has been made on it before. And I believe that is what Datti was referring to in that, by saying it has been decided before. So I just want to make clarification on that so that we don't overflog Datti for even what is right. Thank you.
All right, there is a question therefore. I mean, so taking clarification. Our military is not dead. Let me see if I can. Our military is not dead. But what Datti is saying is that if democracy swearing in will be Datti, Tinubu, Tinubu Shetima in is as good as having the military in power, if I'm right by what he's saying, because the military don't practice democracy. So Tinubu Shetima our government will be seen or likened as a military era. Mr. Benny said something that I want to highlight here, which is the focus of the channel and the focus of the group, which is that the Section 134 should have been addressed. If our legislators or the senators are actually doing their job, should have been addressed long time ago. Yes, I can agree to an extent, but also I will also say this, that it is also down to the people to all be holding their leaders accountable in the constituency as to address this issue. And that is what the OVO Project Freedom is all about. You can see it running over the screen there, where we intend to push an educational awareness in terms of Section 110A and B of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution. So if you are interested, you can see the number across the screen there. You can join. We have a lot of things going on at the moment, which is that we need to educate the Nigerian citizens, not just educate, steer their mind. We need not educate because Nigerians are educated. Steer their mind to these issues of holding our leaders accountable from the grassroots, because they live among us, they are our constituency. So when we start to hold them accountable and say perform, or we recall you back, because the power is in the hands of the people. It's there in the Constitution. Is the recall, Section 110, subsection A and B, my favorite section in the Constitution, is to recall them back so that they will know that indeed they are there to serve and not to be served. I will yield the floor for everyone to weigh in another 5 minutes, and we will call it a day. I would like to thank everyone who have joined in. Machiavelli, you are welcome. I will be broadcasting every Saturday, God willing, and I will send a message out, and we will be discussing issues that really matters, not anyhow issues. Machiavelli, I want to appeal to you. This is a special appeal. I am asking you. I'm pleading. You belong to a lot of platforms, Niger Watch, this and that. Please take this message to them. It's an appeal we are making. Take this message to them and let them understand that this is not the way it's going to be. We cannot, if we are going to have a leader, we must be able to hold that leader accountable. I hope they will listen to you, and I pray they do. But it's all I can do is to hope. So I yield the floor to anyone who wants to make their final submission before we call it a day. Thank you very much. The floor is open to anyone who wants to go first, in no particular order, please.
Okay, let me go first, so that I can face what I'm doing. So, yeah, thank you, Electricity, for creating this forum to charge our people and then speak the truth. And for me, I encourage Nigerians, first, please get a copy of the Constitution and study it. You don't need to be a lawyer to study that thing. And when you pick a copy and study, it makes you to understand Nigeria more. It makes you to understand that there are some, there's a, yeah, we may all be condemning the Constitution. Like you said, Section 1 thing. If you don't read the Constitution, there's no way you will find out that that thing is there. And don't forget that they tried to exploit, in the case of Dino Melaye, they tried to record Dino Melaye back then, and it became a serious issue. They used police and everything to scatter, use talk to scatter the record process and everything. For someone who, if you have interest in a young democracy, you will do a little research about what went wrong and how can that be corrected in the near future. How can you successfully recall? When we successfully recall one, others will sit tight, I believe. Secondly, I would like that every Nigerian, particularly in diaspora, because Nigerians in diaspora now, the kind of influence we have on people back home has increased. Why? Because they've impoverished people back home, and then they look up to the people in diaspora not only to seek for resources, to seek for solution now. You see people engaging you and be asking this Nigerian problem, how do you think we can solve it? I will implore people, please. That NTA, you know, NTA is the most relegated TV station now in Nigeria. Even they are online, people don't watch it. But there are a lot of things you gain from that NTA about Nigeria and a lot of contributions you can make. Public hearing of almost every bills you see in Nigeria, they televise this thing and broadcast live in NTA. How many of us do watch this thing? I ask people. Not until the law comes out. Nigerians don't know. Because it's there, we don't watch it. We prefer to go and watch Netflix and then listen to Okinbaloye, and then whoever likes Rufai Oseni, that one will cause Nigerian government and criticize. Whoever doesn't like Rufai will switch to Sheon to balance things. And if you don't like those two spaces, they will just be with Babajide Otitoju on TVC and be enjoying your life as Baptist. We've been so polarized, and they've narrowed our opinion that we don't even look for all these things. NTA, I will emphasize it again. Public hearing, NTA has this section which is more like a station that broadcasts National Assembly issues. That's what it's focused on. Just like your BBC Parliament in UK, it's focused on that National Assembly. Let's focus on that thing. One of the ways we could change Nigeria is the law. If you look at our electoral act, I don't really have time, really. But I know one day I will have time to come and probably not enlighten people, but come and express my own opinion about how I think we have moved. I know Foley, I've met Foley 1 or 2 times on platform, and he doesn't really believe Nigeria and da. I think he believes in Showore also. Yeah. I think we've engaged before on why Barack should not be removed and things like that. But I know he kept saying, no, the electoral process and everything. For me, we have progressed. From 1999, if you look at our electoral laws to 2010 amendment, 1999, yeah, 2007 amendment, 2006 amendment, 7 amendment, 2010 amendment, and the present amendment we have in 2022. If you are the one who has interest in the development of our legislative, of our laws, you know that we have really progressed from these to electronic these to beavers. Now there's an issue with beavers. Let us do a surgery. What exactly happened? All the promises we're talking about are not ingrained in the guidelines. I still tell people, Yakubu may be there and be promising you heaven, and that's not what the court will listen to. The court wants to steal the law. What is contained in your electoral act? No mention of beavers in electoral act. I hope you know. Go and read it. Section 1 to end. No mention of beavers in the electoral act. It's only, and the electoral act simply says that whatever INEC provides is what they will follow. INEC provide guideline. Was it not the same INEC that made declaration that don't use XYZ, then bring it to the collation center? You see, they will go and be arguing it. The INEC guidance doesn't need to be in the written form. It could be the pronouncement of their oga, and the court will say yes. So, dear parents and whoever is listening to us, I know this thing will be recorded, and in future our children will listen to it. Let it be said that we encourage ourselves at a point in time to pick interest in our laws. Don't leave it in the hands of lawyers alone. Don't leave it in the hands of politicians alone. Follow up on public hearing. There are a lot of bills presently in the National Assembly today that will affect my future and your future, the destiny of my children and yours. Let's pick interest in all these things. And if you have issue with it, mobilize people in Nigeria to go and evade that day of public hearing. And let them know, yes, we are speaking, and go to social media. You remember Public Health Act, when they wanted to put all the public health of everybody in the pocket of one man in the country. But Dino was the first to raise it. We know Dino has his own nuisance value. He raised it. But the entire Nigerian started saying, hey, this is what they want to do. We killed that bill. We killed the bill on social media. So I encourage Nigerians, let's follow up on these things. Then I pray to be well with the country.
Thank you very much. Foley, before you come in,
Okay.
for viewers who are listening to us, Mr. Ogbeni is part of this group movement, and don't worry, you will have a field day here. Well, we're still going to sit down and meet. Probably I'll fly down to meet you, and we'll sit down and talk and how we move this forward again. So, like I said, we must not leave the laws to the politicians. In fact, we must never leave the law to the politicians. Fine, to the lawyers, we may, but to the politicians, never. That's just the truth. So, Foley, the floor is yours.
Yeah. My brother, I actually know, maybe I'm in support of Showore, yes, and I'm not denying that. And I think I'm actually for the best. But you don't see me as somebody who does not believe in Nigeria. I believe so much in Nigeria. But what I'm telling you is Nigerian is not working. And when I'm saying it's not working, let's go to the issue of election alone. You will know that Nigeria is not working. Check out our last election. Only 8 million people have the belief in your next president, and they voted for the candidates. 8 million people out of 218 million. And you are telling me Nigeria is this. I don't know. People have already lost hope in our electoral act in Nigeria. And for us to get it back, we have to do what others were doing in the other country. What we are doing here is just some people have already take over the space and they were manipulating everybody. So people don't really believe in that processing any longer, because after you spend your time, you spend your money to go and cast your vote. Yet, nowhere, no, you are not going to get a good result from it, because the people are manipulating it. Either they use their thug to attack you during the election, either they use their money to buy the votes from the idiot among us. It's either they use use police to do so many things. So each time we are going for election, they always demoralize people to come out and vote for the candidate, a credible candidate, because we don't even believe that we have any credible candidate any longer. People don't even take that time to even check out who is the best among the candidates. We follow the wave. Wherever the wave go to, we go there. Okay, we're doing fine. He's going to do it. That is not how to have a country. Let me tell you, either we like it or not, the country is actually getting there, because the consciousness is coming up. People are waking up. It's only we may think that we are doing it in a wrong way, but yet I believe the voices is already coming out. People who are not talking before are now talking. So before you know, we'll be organizing ourselves, we'll be educating ourselves. What we need here is to see a country that works for everybody. That I'm supporting Showore is not like I'm supporting Showore to be that messiah. But I see the ideology in him. Showore speaks my mind wherever he speaks. So I'm not seeing myself supporting Showore. I only see him as the one speaking what everybody should be saying in this country. So if you are not asking me, if you are not telling me because I believe in Showore, I don't believe in Nigeria, you are getting it wrong. I believe so much in Nigeria. Like, as you're looking at me, people are actually forcing me to get out of this space. But I said no. If we all live here, who will build the country for us? Who is going to do it for us? So we are here to continue what we believe. And if God allow us to get to where we are going to, fine, we'll get it done. But don't ever see me as if I shallow myself to that Showore of a thing. I believe so much in Showore, no doubt. And the reason why I believe in him is because he speaks my mind. He has his platform that is more bigger than my own. So wherever he talks, I believe someone is somewhere ahead of me that is speaking my mind to the power. That's why I'm in support of him. And more so, you cannot ask me to be supporting someone. Okay, I said I don't want the old politicians, and someone is still telling me that his father, that his mother, that his brother is my mentor, and you are still supporting that kind of person. That call them their mentor, call them his mentor. So I should look at myself out. Did I really want a change? Yes. Did the change I want can come from these people? Answer is no. Because if they can do it, they will have done it in the past. We won't be here talking about what we're talking here today. Because those people don't even have it to give. So let's try something new for the first time and let's see what is going to happen. So I eat my mind. Thank you very much, my brother.
Once again, I would like to thank everyone who has participated on this broadcast, and I will bring it to an end. Like, I don't believe in overflogging if you all will stay here for till thy kingdom come. Like I said again, I'll be here most Saturdays. I will always communicate and what time well in advance, and we shall meet privately for those of us that meet privately and push this message forward. God bless you and have a lovely weekend.
God bless you, my brother.
Thanks. Bye.